Hey everybody, Ryan FMG here, and before we talk about today's topic, I want to talk about a new sub goal. So last week I was talking about how I really want to make a push for 1,000 subscribers in October, and thank you everyone that has subbed to my channel before October, and then also in October. This month has been fantastic already. So I decided to do our first, sub goal on our path to 1,000. So once we reach 800 subscribers, which hopefully we'll reach this week. That's what I'm hoping for. The celebration video will be, I will do a video for an October meta breakdown. Now, what this October meta breakdown will be is exactly what it sounds like. And I'm hoping that I'll kind of make this in about a week, so the meta will kind of, it's really shifting because it's very new right now, but in a week or so, the meta with the new cards and everything will be around 2 weeks old, so I think that will be a perfect time to actually show off some decks, give you all QR codes to what I think are the best decks. So hopefully, in this week, we can reach 800, so, next weekend or something like that, I can record a meta breakdown for you all. Okay, we are now just jumping right into the round 2 games, because my last video about round 1, I kind of talked about what decks I was planning on playing and the format and everything like that, so I decided, hey, let's just skip the intros and just go right into the round 2 games. Yet again, these are replays because I did play these games last week. So I started to play with Wolf, and my opponent is playing a Yonli variant. So this can kind of be hard because Yonli can play a lot of big things like Nero and just really cheat on MP, as well as shields go a long way against red decks. So like a lot of times with Wolf, you wait till you get 10 MP and then you start dumping out your hand. So we kill the bottom feline, and Nero is still going to be a problem for a little bit. And Disarm goes a long way against our growth units because now this pup is just a 1/7 unit. Doesn't really do anything for us, but whatever, is what it is. It can be Ascend fodder. So I'm just kind of waiting here just to make sure I can dump out my hand. I could play maybe a little bit more aggressively, but I wanted to play a Chill Penguin and then get shield right away with the Spile Pegasus. And that overall worked very well for us since we got to kill both of their units. Now, I really decided to fight over this feline because I just wiped out their board of their Neros, and they just played this feline, and feline racks up MP so much where I figured, hey, if I can kill this opponent's feline, this puts them on the back foot so much, and so I will get in so much damage, and it really hoses their MP gain and advantage, which is all what Chun-Li wants to do, and then it gives me some time to rack up some MP, in the more slow normal way, but hey, is what it is. We can't all have, felines and MP batteries. Friendly Feud is fantastic because now it's going to do 6 damage right here. I could have quickly used my hero art before they use their hero art, but I wanted them to use their hero art so that I could use my hero art because, our hero art does stifle death triggers, but they got to quickly ascend over a Rainy. But, still fine. We got to deal some damage with the Rainy, but definitely not as good as we really wanted it to be. Disarm's going a long way. Kind of a little happy that they disarmed the Penguin, because this will just keep on painting things, and, this can still do damage. And the Penguin, yes, it is a 3/6 with 2 shields, so it will deal a lot of damage, but, we kind of already growthed up that unit. So overall, not too sad to see the Penguin just become, a normal unit with no shields or anything. Opponent already on 3. We're just kind of sitting back, relaxing. And then, you know what? Let's just drop a Dragoon, hurt this Rainy, and kind of just go from there because this is feeling fantastic. Our Grizzled Veteran is at 8. Which I decided to do that there. And you know what? I don't even know if we really needed to do that. We could have just Grizzled Veteran, or we have so much pressure where maybe we just don't do anything, because why give the opponent more free MP to play with? But doesn't really matter since we were so far ahead. Round 2, exact same matchup. The opponent decides to stick with Yonli, and since we did win game number 1, we have to stick with the Wolf. Yet again, just kind of waiting, chilling, gaining some MP. They are already getting some MP batteries out, so that means they're gaining MP a whole lot faster now than us since they have 2 going for them. But we can quickly try to stifle that a little bit. It's always good, like I said, 4-drop, 3-drop, 3-drop, because then we got so many hits in all at once. Trying to get rid of the Nero real fast, because a 4-8 Nero is a big problem for this deck, especially when our Grizzled Veteran is only at 3 right now. I decided not to do anything because we are killing the Nero, because if we played another action, they maybe could have wall jumped or something the Nero to kind of mitigate the Liberation Slash, and that would have been very, very bad for us. I decided to play another 3-drop, so then when the pup growth, that was 2 damage splits, so that just seemed a little bit better. They do have another Nero. That they are wall jumping, so that is pretty bad, and we can't obviously friendly feud. We could Grizzle Veteran, but it is only 4 right now. However, I decide to do it because hopefully we at least kill the layer and do some damage on the Nero. Which is exactly what happens. Basically just decide to, hey, we need to put another growth unit down and try to go from there, right? Because as soon as this grows, it will deal some damage because of the 3-drop. Disarm was very good for them right there, because now if we play something, it doesn't, nothing triggers growth, and that's very unfortunate. Deciding to use some of the free MP, even though that action did cost 1, which is pretty unfortunate when we only had 4. And then all these Neros are just going to become a nightmare for us to work with, especially that we only have, 6 MP now, so it's not like we can dump out our hand. Deciding to do this there just because we needed the 6 damage to try to kill one of these. But, it's looking pretty grim for us since we're at 12. They have 2 Neros and, they're still at 30. So we just have to drop a Pegasus there. More shields is working very, very well for them. And then Trinity is like, well, Chun-Li was already winning. Let's play Trinity and really put the nail in the coffin there. Especially the spillover is so good, because I barely want to place a puppy there to mitigate some damage, but you kind of have to, and then Rainy just gets in for the last points of damage. Game number 3, I did decide to just keep with Wolf. I did lose game number 2 with Wolf, but we were 1-1, and I was like, you know what? Wolf was feeling pretty good, and as long as they don't draw the Neros, or as long as we can quickly kill the Neros, I was feeling pretty good. So it's like, let's run back Wolf again. Yet again, this is very similar to game number 2, where they have 2 battery units and then we're just kind of waiting, and now they have a Nero. So let's try to get all the damage around that we possibly can. This was kind of good for us that they did it on our growth unit, because now we can friendly feud our puppy to make it bigger, to do more damage against the Nero and get a trigger off. However, we do not get a trigger off because they had 2 disarms back to back, but a 4-7 will actually now trade with the Nero, so that is fantastic if this goes through. However, action makes that no, Wolf. You're going to have some more time. I decide to play the 3-drop there because there's so many units on board that making their units take 1 more damage and my units take 1 less damage is very, very good there, and we kind of don't have anything else going on. Them using the Doll's Memory as a removal spell makes sense. You know, doing this doesn't really affect anything since these are all sealed. However, this puppy is now going to trade with the Nero, and that's fantastic because, like I said in the past, Nero is the hardest thing for us to deal with. So basically, I want to wait so I can play those things back to back and quickly use the hero power while we still have the extra damage incentive on the clock. And now this is looking very good because they just have a 4-2 Rainy, which is not that big, where we do Grizzled Veteran, hoping that RNG kind of goes our way. Killing the Rainy, dealing some damage to Feline. No damage to Feline, but whatever, is what it is. Fair enough, I guess. Quickly want to make sure we friendly feud the Chill Penguin to give shield to mitigate the Nero damage, and now to kill the Nero because of the 2-peen, which is fantastic. And now we just have a board. Yes, our units aren't the most powerful, but every attack cycle they are doing 7, and now we can just kind of sit back, relax, gain some MP, so once something does die, we can just dump out some more threats. Obviously, we're not playing Trump Card right here, since we do have about 8 MP in stock. Trump Card would be detrimental to us, to say the least. I should have played something a little bit faster, because there is a couple seconds where I haven't actually gained any MP, but that's also because our opponent have been doing hero power and some action, so it doesn't look as bad. But this kind of should have come down a couple seconds sooner. Kind of unfortunate that they had the Seal Dino for our Ken, is what it is. Our Ken will still eat the Seal Dino, so that is good. I really want something to die so we can play something to give shield to Chill Penguin, but that is not in the cards. And this, yet again, is kind of sometimes the problem, especially that these are sealed. So, like, yes, we can play units, but we're not getting any extra value. And that's why I'm just kind of waiting here, because I want to play like 2 units to actually trigger some growth that use the hero power. Because basically, if we can deal with this Rainy, we're in great position. Because a 5'11 Rainy is humongous. So our Grizzled Veteran is doing 6. We decide to do it even though it cannot kill the Rainy. Hopefully it just kills... Hopefully it kills the layer, but it did not. And that was very unfortunate for us. Because then they got to use their hero power, all that jazz. So I decided to do Dragoon here to get the Rashid there, and then Dragoon will kill the Nero, which is fantastic. However, they're like, no. Opponent is like, no, we need that Nero. I decide to do Trump Card because now we are on the back foot, and we just need to push in some more damage points here. It's nice that we have Spile Pegasus, because we could actually just Spile Pegasus this Rainy. Which, this is a punt right there, because I was thinking, hey, I would rather, ascend over something with Spile Pegasus. I think I should have probably just played Pegasus because Rainy was just at 2, and this does deal 2 right away. So that does seem better. However, maybe not a complete punt, because now, like, over the Rashid or something, or that, we now can just Spile Pegasus to really get more damage across the board. So it worked out for us. In hindsight, I think I would rather just Spile Pegasus their Rainy, but, it is what it is. Basically, I waited a little bit long there to use our hero art. I wasn't sure exactly what I was thinking, but, it works out fine, and maybe past me did all the math and was like, this is perfect! And they are now at, 1 damage. We need a win with these 2 things on board because we don't have a library anymore. We don't have a deck. But they're at 1, so any hit is lethal, and Rashid doing work. Game number 4, the score is 2-1, and the opponent is playing Chun or Yan Li still, so of course we have to play with the Wolf since we won the previous game. This is a pretty good hand, right? We have 3-drop well, 4-drop, 3-drop, 3-drop, but sometimes you don't really want to play Spyro Pegasus first just because you really want to get that Ascend trigger. However, sometimes just the one play deal 2 damage to the opponent's unit in front is completely fine, but better here would probably be Puppy into 3-drop, 3-drop. The opponent's not doing anything. I was a little scared to play a Puppy because they could just disarm, but I was like, you know what, even if they disarm this Puppy, that's fine. You know, it does really hurt our, because now we don't have any growth units, but it kind of is what it is. It feels a little bit bad having to play that 3-drop there, where maybe it could have been better just to play the Pegasus. However, this is pretty good. Using Liberation Slash on their Nero felt great, but then wall jump, you know, shield is very, very good. You know, at least they're not gaining any life because they are at 30. But already they have a 5-7 Nero that's just going to keep beating us down. We don't have any growth units on the board yet, which we really wish we had, because if we just had some more MP, we could have played like Rashid and then Friendly Feud. But this is feeling kind of rough already. You know, this just kind of shows that, you know, obviously we do have tons of growth units, but even a growth-centric deck maybe doesn't draw its growth units, and then it does kind of flounder for sure. Basically, I'm just trying to wait so I can play a Rashid into a 3-drop and then maybe Friendly Feuds and stuff like that. And being very greedy with our life total. By greedy, I mean risky, using our life total as a resource. And then the Trinity is like, okay, well, you are doing very good. However, this Rashid is going to do a lot of damage, but not quite enough, because already Nero is just going to smack the wolf for 9. GG's, very fast game. The score is 2 games to 2 games, so this is winner take all for the match. And since we lost the previous game, that means we can switch. Our opponent is locked into playing Yon Li, and I decided to switch to Ouroboros because we were 2-2 and the games felt very grindy. However, I decided to switch to Ouroboros because Fate of the Unworthy is fantastic in this matchup, especially since their big win cons is Nero. And Nero was giving the wolf the hardest time. So it's like, let's just play a deck that I have 3 Fate of the Unworthies, and already we see how beautiful that is. I'm basically waiting to drop a monster, because then I would like to flip the monster. However, I was like, you know what, let's just kill that Nero. Let's not take 5 right away. And I don't particularly want to do an Executioner here, just to flip our Gore, because Executioner is really, really good here. However, it can be worth it at times for that life gain, and I decide it is worth it, because now we go back up to 30, we reset the Gore's clock to then trade with the Rainy. And we do have Dark Exchange here, but I definitely wanted to make sure that some of our stuff died, so we do have some units in our graveyard before we Dark Exchange, because so that if we like Living Death or just like Ouroboros or something, we can do that. Basically just waiting to play a Devil because I don't want to play another Executioner without getting the trigger. And this is pretty rough here because, you know, I didn't necessarily want to do the Living Death when they had so many things out. Well, I guess I should say that. Like, they had so many things out where I kind of wanted to do the Living Death, but we know that they have tons of things in their graveyard, and we didn't have tons of things. So now I'm using my life as a resource, and now it's time to pull the trigger on Living Death here. Where maybe I should have just done that a little bit before, rather than taking some damage. I decided to do this because, like, wait, we can mill more cards, and maybe we can get, you know, a King or something like that, something just better than what we already had previously. What's great is these Rainies are not that big because there's no Ascend. However, with Trinity, they are going to get very, very big indeed. Here I'm contemplating if I want to do Dark Exchange. I do want things to go to the graveyard so we can then bring them back. And we know that we don't have tons of stuff in the graveyard already, where maybe Dark Exchange could be worth it at this time, but I was playing a little conservatively there, actually. Because especially like when this just goes to the graveyard, we could just Ouroboros it back, go up to 27, and that was feeling so good. So definitely playing conservatively with this Dark Exchange. And, you know, our opponent's giving us a lot of opportunities to play it, but we're also not giving them any free MP to play with, and I really like that sometimes. Because on all these shields, all this stuff is actually costing them actual MP and not anything free. Sealing this feels very bad. However, now we can rebirth because, hey, we know we have stuff in the graveyard, and they didn't get to use any free MP, which was fantastic. We could use Murderous Spikes on something here, but it doesn't really seem worthwhile when those things were going to die so quickly. Using Ouroboros, hoping that it goes in the bottom lane to save that hit trade with the Rainy, and it does, especially because this 4/5 will eat the Rainy. We're getting closer and closer to Executioner actually doing something here. And we're getting closer and closer to Rebel's Memory actually killing everything. We're still only at Memory 4. These seals are going a long way because I was really hoping that we could net something and then play something and flip it. Using our Ouroboros again, hoping either way it's good because if it goes in bottom lane, it does that, starts hitting in. If it goes in the top lane, it's good because we kind of need to kill that Nero eventually. We decide just to Murder Spikes this because this feline, it's going to be pretty problematic. Which is like, whew, that's rough. Because now we're just like, you know what, let's Fate of the Unworthy Nero. Yes, this feline is going to be a problem, but this Nero is definitely the biggest problem. Because this devil was still going to actually kill the feline. However, not really anymore. Well, no, it's still, no, it will not. Because of the shield and everything. But we have Serpent King, so this is great because Serpent King, they've already used a lot of their seals with their Disarm and their Seal Dino, so hopefully they don't have a seal for Serpent. And now we can just play that. Unfortunately, we played it there rather than there because it would have been great to put it in front of the Yeon-Li, or sorry, Chun-Li herself. However, it's like, come on, RNG, hit that and kill it? No, okay, fair enough. We did not need to take that damage. We could have actually placed that, I think, right before we took 4 extra damage, so that did feel a little rough. So they do Natural Cycle here, because they don't have any cards in their graveyard, which does hurt us. However, we have a Rebirth, and so now it's like, okay, we're going to have 3 really good units on board, and yes, their units are going to get beefy and buff. However, hopefully we can just win the game before that. Especially that well, now it kind of sneaks as like Ouroboros and Rebirth, there's nothing in the graveyard. Well, now there finally is. But Natural Cycle is very good against Ouroboros. It's just, we had so much pressure going already. It's great that it killed the feline first and then did some over effect. We could have maybe just played Devil there just to quickly try to win the game without giving them any MP to play with, and that maybe could have been better. But they probably would have been able to drop the Nero there anyways. And, you know, depending where the RNG goes, and 3 damage does go to face, and, you know, Serpent King just definitely showing its worth, right? It's just they're chugging along, throwing damage all around. Overall, round 2 was very hype because it went to 5 games, right? It was basically like win, lose, win. And our opponent just stayed tried and true to Yeon-Li, which I do think Yeon-Li is a very good deck, and Nero is very good. I am happy that I changed to Ouroboros, And maybe after our first loss, so for game 3, maybe when it was 1-1 in game 3, maybe I just should have switched to Ouroboros rather than with the Wolf, because Fate of the Unworthy as well as Executioner is so good to deal with Nero. And yes, of course, like Living Death and Rebel's Memory, all that. But we have a lot more ways just to kill with Nero straight outright, rather than Wolf can kind of flounder a little bit, especially if they're putting like shields and stuff. Because guess what? Fate of the Unworthy doesn't care about shields at all. But maybe I should have switched a little bit sooner, but I am happy that I switched in game number 5. But thank you all for watching. Round number 3 will be out tomorrow.